I am Dr. Manoj Suryavanshi, Assistant Professor, AISSMS, College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology. Today, we are beginning with the chapter on levels of biological diversity, genetic species and ecosystem diversity, Part 2. The learning outcomes of this content is to understand the concept and importance of biodiversity. Now let's discuss about importance of biodiversity. Biodiversity is the web of life that sustains the planet and human societies. Its preservation is essential for maintaining ecosystem services, supporting economic development, and upholding cultural values. Despite the significant threats it faces, concerted conservation efforts can mitigate biodiversity loss and ensure a sustainable future. Protecting biodiversity requires global cooperation, strong policies, sustainable practices, and the active involvement of all stakeholders. By valuing and safeguarding biodiversity, we secure the well-being of future generations and the health of our planet. Biodiversity provides numerous essential benefits to humanity and the environment. Ecologically, it contributes to the stability and resilience of ecosystems, enabling them to recover from disturbances such as natural disasters and human-induced changes. Diverse ecosystems are more productive and better able to withstand environmental stresses, thus maintaining their functions and services. These services include air and water purification, pollination of crops, climate regulation, and soil fertility, all of which are vital for human survival and economic activities. Economically, biodiversity underpins sectors such as agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and tourism. Genetic diversity within crops and livestock is crucial for security, allowing for the development of new varieties that can resist pests, diseases, and changing climatic conditions. Natural resources from forests, oceans, and other ecosystems provide raw materials for industries and livelihoods for millions of people. Additionally, biodiversity-rich areas often attract tourists, generating significant income and employment opportunities for local communities. Culturally, biodiversity holds immense value. Many communities, particularly indigenous peoples, have deep connections to their natural environment, relying on it for their cultural practices, spiritual beliefs, and traditional knowledge. Biodiversity also provides educational and scientific opportunities, enabling researchers to study natural processes and discover new medicines, materials, and technologies. Ecological stability is one of the major importance of biodiversity, which says that biodiversity contributes to the resilience and stability of ecosystems. Diverse ecosystems are often more resilient to disturbances such as climatic change, diseases, or invasive species. Ecological stability refers to the ability of an ecosystem to maintain its structure, function, and services over time despite facing various disturbances. This stability is crucial for sustaining biodiversity, ecosystem productivity, and the overall health of the environment. There are several dimensions to ecological stability: resistance, resilience, and robustness. Resistance is the ecosystem's ability to withstand disturbances without significant changes. Resilience, on the other hand, is the capacity to recover quickly after a disturbance. Robustness involves the ecosystem's capacity to function across a wide range of conditions and disturbances. A stable ecosystem typically has high biodiversity, which contributes to its resilience. Diverse species, interactions, and genetic variation enhance the system's ability to adapt to changes and absorb shocks. Functional redundancy, where multiple species perform similar ecological roles, also strengthens stability. Human activities such as deforestation, pollution, and climatic change pose significant threats to ecological stability. Conservation efforts such as habitat restoration, pollution control, and sustainable resource management are vital to maintaining stability. Understanding and promoting ecological stability is essential for preserving ecosystem services that are crucial for human well-being, such as clean air and water, fertile soil, and climate regulation. Maintaining ecological stability thus underpins both environmental and societal health. Economic value. Biodiversity provides numerous ecosystem services essential for human well-being, including pollination, water purification, soil fertility, and climate regulation. These services have significant economic value, often exceeding the value of the resources extracted from the ecosystem. The economic value of biodiversity is immense, encompassing direct benefits like food, medicine, and raw materials, and indirect benefits such as ecosystem services. Biodiversity supports agriculture through pollination, pest control, and genetic resources for crop and livestock improvement. It contributes to tourism and recreation industries, generating significant revenue. Additionally, ecosystems with rich biodiversity provide services like water purification, climate regulation, and soil fertility, which are crucial for human survival and economic activities. Preserving biodiversity is thus vital for maintaining this enhancing resilience against environmental changes and economic shocks. The third major importance of biodiversity is cultural and aesthetic value. Biodiversity is intertwined with cultural identities and traditions around the world. Many indigenous cultures have deep spiritual and cultural connections to their local biodiversity, which plays a central role in their folklore, rituals, and traditional knowledge. The cultural and aesthetic value of biodiversity is profound, enriching human experience and well-being. Biodiverse ecosystems inspire art, literature, and traditions, reflecting their importance in cultural heritage and identity. Natural landscapes and diverse species offer aesthetic enjoyment, contributing to mental and emotional health. They provide settings for recreational activities like hiking, bird watching, and photography, fostering a deep connection with nature. Many cultures hold spiritual and religious reverence for certain species and natural sites, further emphasizing biodiversity's cultural significance. Preserving biodiversity thus helps maintain cultural diversity, heritage, and the intrinsic beauty of the natural world. Biodiversity is a vital source of medicinal resources, providing compounds essential for developing drugs and treatments. Many modern medicines are derived from plants, animals, and microorganisms. For example, the rosy periwinkle has contributed to cancer treatment, while the specific Ave tree is the source of the chemotherapy drug paclitaxel. Biodiverse ecosystems offer a vast genetic library for discovering new pharmaceuticals. Traditional medicine systems relying on diverse species also highlight the importance of biodiversity. Preserving biodiversity ensures a continuous supply of medicinal resources, enabling medical advancements and the discovery of novel treatments crucial for human health. Climate change, rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, and extreme weather events associated with climate change and are disrupting ecosystems and altering the distribution and behavior of species. Climate change significantly impacts biodiversity, altering habitats and species distributions. Rising temperatures, shifting weather patterns, and increased frequency of extreme events threaten ecosystems. Many species struggle to adapt to rapid changes, leading to reduced population or extinction. Coral reefs, Arctic wildlife, and tropical forests are particularly vulnerable. Biodiversity loss, in turn, exacerbates climate change as degraded ecosystems sequester less carbon. Protecting biodiversity helps mitigate climate change by maintaining resilient ecosystems that can adapt to changes and continue to provide essential services like carbon sequestration. Addressing climate change and conserving biodiversity are thus interconnected and crucial for ecological stability. Invasive species. Non-native species introduced to new environments can outcompete native species, disrupt ecological processes, and cause declines in biodiversity. Invasive species are non-native organisms that spread rapidly in new environment, often causing significant harm to ecosystems, economies, and human health. They outcompete native species for resources, disrupt local food webs, and alter habitats. Examples include the zebra mussel in North America, which damages water infrastructure and ecosystems, and cane toad in Australia, which preys on and poisons native wildlife. Invasive species can reduce biodiversity, degrade ecosystem services, and incur costly control measures. Preventing their introduction and managing established populations are critical to protecting native ecosystems and maintaining ecological balance. Pollution. Pollution from sources such as agriculture, industry, and urban runoff can degrade habitats, contaminate waterways, and harm both terrestrial and aquatic organisms. Pollution adversely affects biodiversity by contaminating air, water, and soil, leading to habitat degradation and loss. Chemical pollutants such as pesticides, heavy metals, and industrial waste can be toxic to wildlife, causing mortality, reproductive failure, and genetic mutations. Air pollution, including acid rain, harms plant and aquatic life, while plastic pollution endangers marine species through ingestion and entanglement. Nutrient pollution from agricultural runoff leads to algal blooms, depleting oxygen in water bodies and creating dead zones. Reducing pollution through stricter regulations, sustainable practices, and conservation efforts is essential for protecting biodiversity and maintaining healthy ecosystem. Overexploitation. Unsustainable exploitation of natural resources, including overfishing, poaching, and illegal logging, can deplete populations of species and degrade ecosystem. Overexploitation occurs when humans harvest resources from ecosystem at rates exceeding their ability to regenerate, leading to depletion of biodiversity. Examples include overfishing, poaching, and deforestation. Overharvesting of fish stocks, for instance, can disrupt marine food webs and lead to population declines. Affecting biodiversity and ecosystem functions, poaching of endangered species threatens their survival and disrupts ecological balance. Deforestation for timber, agriculture, and urbanization destroys habitats and reduces biodiversity. Overexploitation can result in species extinctions, loss of genetic diversity, and destabilization of ecosystems, ultimately impacting human well-being. Sustainable management practices and conservation efforts are crucial for mitigating the negative effects of overexploitation of biodiversity. It has been required to conserve the biodiversity by having some conservation efforts like protected areas. Establishing and effectively managing protected areas such as national parks, reserves and wildlife sanctuaries is a key strategy for conserving biodiversity and preserving critical habitats. Sustainable land use practices. Promoting sustainable agricultural practices, forestry and fisheries management can help minimize habitat destruction and reduce the pressure on ecosystems. Species conservation. Implementing species-specific conservation measures such as captive breeding programs, habitat restoration, anti-poaching efforts can help prevent the extinction of endangered species. International agreements and policies also help for the conservation of biodiversity. International agreements such as the Convention on Biological Diversity, that is CBD, and the initiatives like the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals provide frameworks for global cooperation on biodiversity conservation and sustainable development. Public awareness and education is also important to have a proper conservation efforts for biodiversity. Increasing public awareness about the importance of biodiversity and the threats it faces can foster support for conservation efforts and promote sustainable behaviors. Conserving biodiversity is essential for maintaining the ecological and life support systems that sustain human societies and the planet. It requires a comprehensive and integrated approach that combines protected area management, sustainable practices, restoration efforts, robust legal frameworks, public education, and the inclusion of traditional knowledge. Addressing the socio-economic drivers of biodiversity loss and mitigating climate change are also crucial for long-term conservation success. So by evaluating and protecting biodiversity, we secure not only the survival of countless species but also the well-being of present and future generations. It is a collective responsibility that demands immediate and sustained action at all levels of the society. The future of our planet's health and our own well-being depends on our commitment to preserving the rich tapestry of life that biodiversity represents. So let's have a quick recap of the today's session. We have covered the learning outcomes, that is understand the concept and importance of biodiversity. We have also covered the various strategies for the conservation of biodiversity like ecological stability, economic value, cultural and aesthetic value, medicinal resources, climate change, invasive species and its importance, pollution and its impacts on biodiversity, overexploitation on biodiversity. Then we have also discussed the various conservation efforts like protected areas, sustainable land use practices, species conservation, international agreements and policies, public awareness and education, and many more. Thank you.